Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful Rabbit Hole Lore and Fray, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. I've been hard at work at Jaw of the Dragon all night, but what I've been doing this weekend is that I've been having a classic cartoon from my childhood playing in the background. Danny Phantom, from airing from 2003 to 2007 on Nicktoons. I bought the complete series a while ago, and I didn't actually get around to watching it for a long time because I wasn't sure how much I would enjoy it as an adult. This is a show I don't think I've seen in like maybe 15 years. Like I can't remember the last time I saw it. I think I aged out of it even when season 3 was originally airing. And that's kind of weird to think about because am I the reason that we never got additional episodes because I tuned out of the show because I was doing other things with my life. I didn't keep watching it. I don't know. I've heard season 3 is bad. I haven't quite gotten to it yet. All the episodes I've seen up to this point are classics. They're all episodes I really enjoy. I really remember loving growing up. All of them are great. Great animation, great characters, great concept. There are a handful of ones I don't remember seeing, specifically the holiday ones. I suppose because I was always busy around the holidays. But I watching the show again really makes me recall just how much I really enjoyed this show. This is probably one of the last good cartoons I ever watched. After this point, it was all kind of downhill. Like, of course, after this show was canceled, we got like, the dark ages of Cartoon Network, like CN Real, like more than just cartoons. We had like Adventure Time and in like 2010, and it's all been downhill since then. It's been a complete train wreck. I was really surprised though with how much I enjoyed Danny Phantom going back to it. Like I think the first couple of episodes were kind of rough in a sort of way. The first episode in particular has like some really wonky animation. The jokes don't always land. The fight scenes aren't great, but like I found myself really surprised with how much I enjoyed the antagonists and the characters and their back and forth and the action. I found myself getting surprisingly invested, especially when it comes like the longer sections. Everyone always talks about like Dark Danny, the future thing. I didn't get too invested in that. I preferred Pariah Dark. I liked the king of ghosts far more than Dark Danny. I thought that was like amazing. I think that would have been like the natural grand finale for the series. Like you get to see like a lot of the ghosts again. They come back. Like I after that point, it really does feel like it goes downhill. Like when I saw that, like, playing in the background, I was just like, holy fucking shit, this is actually awesome. You get some really good, like, character moments between, like, Danny, Vlad, Valerie. You get like some additional context for like the Fright Knight and like the king he serves. That's been like a surprising thing about like some of these episodes is that like sometimes characters return, a lot of these antagonists, and a lot of the times they actually do have a surprising amount of depth to them, stuff that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on the first time. Like it's kind of interesting seeing how wildly different ghosts can be on like repeat reoccurrences, and the changes aren't always good. Vlad Plasmius in particular, I think is well known among fans as being like a huge major threat in the beginning, but as the show goes on, he becomes less and less of a menace, and like you eventually can't really take him seriously. He legit gets a cat and names it Maddie in season 3. That's like one of the only things I remember about it. And it's hilarious. It's legitimately funny, but at the same time it is kind of pathetic. But like it's that patheticness that made the character like compelling to begin with. Like he is an incredibly petty person, and yet he has like all this influence and all this like potential for doing like terrible things and because of that pettiness, and like it leads to a surprisingly compelling character that like has a compelling, interesting, unique relationship with the characters around him. I've heard on message boards and stuff like that like this series lifts a lot of ideas from like the Spider-Man comics, and I can see a lot of those influences for sure. Right, even though I've never read Spider-Man, but to say it's like it's a ripoff or it's a cliche, I think it's kind of missing the point because like Danny and Peter Parker are like completely different characters with like completely different character dynamics and just uh situations, right? Like the ghost theming for Danny Phantom is incredibly unique, right? Like I found myself like really surprised at how well this show was able to balance like really cool, like creepy imagery with like typical Nicktoon like PG rated like visual design. Like a lot of these character designs are really cool, right? Amber McLean, love her. She was a lot of fun. The Fright Knight was a lot of cool. Pride Dark, awesome. Like the Dragon, awesome. Like they're just they just Johnny 13 as an adult, I liked him a lot more. I kind of relate to his character a lot more as an adult now that I've been in relationships myself. Like it's been like um it feels more when it comes to like a lot of these classic shows, you really do get a more nuanced like opinion on what they're trying to accomplish and what they're trying to do. You end up like respecting like what they're trying to do with the characters more. Their situations, their relationships. Like instead of like this being your future to look forward to as a kid, high school problems, you can look back on it nostalgically and kind of laugh at it for how like ridiculous it is. Why are the parents always at the school? Like every single fucking time. Like, what do they actually do? They just sit around the house like inventing stuff. They're always there. They're always out like hunting ghosts. Is that like a real career? Like, but ghosts are like not even considered to be real early on. It's such a weird like situation. It is a cartoon. There is some weird character motivational things and some like character decay as the series goes on. Probably because it goes through so many different writers. Like this is a problem that like Fairly Odd Parents had as well, and that like you initially get some really cool like interesting characters that like evolve through like a handful of episodes, but then like they eventually reach the point where like a lot of the things they get into like later contradicts their earlier portrayals, the stuff that you really got emotionally invested in, right? So a lot of the stuff that like you really started to like and got like emotionally invested in, they throw it away for like a cheap joke. Like I remember like as a kid, the moment I knew like Fairly Odd Parents went to shit, the reason the moment I knew it was garbage was when like I watched an episode when I was a little bit older, and it was it was the one where like Dinkelberg is like they go into his backstory, and it's revealed that he's not actually evil and that he's just messing around with Timmy's dad for no reason, just because like Timmy's dad wants to hate him. And it was like such a contrived, stupid thing, considering like the character and his legacy and just like his portrayal up to this point. Like as someone who actually kids aren't that dumb, like we can remember things. We look back on it uh, like I right off the top of my head, I could think of like a bunch of examples from like older episodes going into Dinkelberg and what he's like and going to like why he's such a terrible person. Why Timmy Turner's dad was disliked him so much, Like there were so many things like that in Fairly Odd Parents. And in a lot of ways, being a more story-driven show, I think Danny Phantom suffers from that a lot more. Like it's weird how like characters like Quan, like that Chinese football guy, like they come off like really interesting, nuanced characters in like one-off episodes and then kind of just get sidelined and never really do anything again. Like Valerie herself doesn't really get closure in this. Like season three in general, I'm told, drops the ball on a lot of character arcs, and like I don't know where they would have gone with it. I that's kind of my I have misgivings about this because as a fan, somebody who liked the show, it ended at the perfect time for me. Like I saw that final episode, the movie Phantom Planet. I don't remember a whole lot about it. I know a lot of people have like issues with it. I don't remember hating it, but I don't remember watching it again either. I wasn't like thrilled about it. Right. I remember it being a cop out in some ways. Like Valerie is just kind of there, like, but I found it like inventive. I like the idea of making the whole planet intangible. Like, I don't know. There were things about it that I remember, like, yeah, it's not the best series finale ever, but at least we got an ending, Like I don't really resent the creators from like for being in a bad position with like the ratings and like the network and stuff like that and having to just kind of wrap things up like awkwardly in the worst possible way. Like I think they did the best with what they had. I think the show should have ended because what we're seeing with Danny Phantom, I'm seeing a lot of people say the show was canceled too soon or that it like, could have done a lot more. Look at Fairly Odd Parents. Look at what happened with that show, where it went on for like 15 years or whatever, like way longer than it needed to. Like it was uncanceled like 5 times. They kept getting worse and worse, introducing new characters. Like I dropped off when like the baby was introduced, right? I hated that shit the instant they started showing it in commercials, right? That was that was a recipe for disaster. And what happens? We get more stupid characters. We get like I actually never actually saw the dog. I remember seeing the dogs like in sketches when I would like watch Nick and they would like play commercials for it because like Butch Hartman was a big deal at the time at the network. He would like demonstrate like Sparky's design and I would just be like, this is Fairly Odd Parents now. Like, imagine what would have happened if Danny Phantom just continued. All right, if it like all the characters would have just gone down the same route that like characters like The Simpsons went down, or like Family Guy or South Park or any other of these shows where they just like completely forget they completely stop being innovative and original and they just become stereotypes of themselves. They just become caricatures. They have to like behave a certain way because that character has to behave a certain way. Otherwise, people get upset because like they thought they knew the character. And like there are just so many times here when I'm watching some of these episodes, like the weaker episodes are the ones where they feel like a character does something they wouldn't normally do. Right? Like the one where like shit. I can't think of any examples. I haven't been paying super close attention to the show, but like there were like moments like that where I felt like, oh, that shouldn't have happened. It should have played out differently. I don't know. Like I don't see that character doing something, and I do think it's like it's an issue with like the way these shows are made. Like why do they have so many writers? Why can't I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a cartoonist. I'm not like the person to ask about this, but I don't know. Like, I think the show had like the potential to be like one of the best action shows like in the mid 2000s, and I'm still like a very big fan of it because of its creativity and its ideas. But it kind of just goes under the radar for me. If I think like any one show is like the best ever when it comes to like action based like crazy crazy plot lines with interesting story characters and stuff like that. Like I would probably go with Teen Titans, honestly. Like as an adult, I can't really think of anything that I go back to like more fondly than Teen Titans. The first four seasons anyway. I love Teen Titans. Like Danny Phantom though, like yeah, it's a fun little show. I enjoy it. I recommend it if you're like if you saw it growing up. I don't know. I don't know if you would enjoy it if you like didn't grow up watching this stuff. But I enjoyed it for what it was, and I think that's the most important thing.